Hey, I'm Scott, or Cutlasses, and I'm here on the Thonk stage showing off Gloop. So Gloop is my looper. It's a standard looper that sort of does everything that a normal looper can do. You can record up to 10 minutes of audio, and you can overdub just like a standard looper. But the way that it's different is it has 4 different playheads that you can mix together on these channels. And each of these playheads we can play a different section of the loop. So these arrows here show what section of the loop we're playing, and we can control the size of the subloop, and then we can mix it in at each volume. We can play that loop forwards or backwards, and we can adjust the speed of that loop, slowing it right down or speeding it up. And that can also be done in semitones if you want to have things musically relative to one another. And that's how it kind of started. So it started just as my own performance looper that I was using, recording live instruments and layering up these loops and layering the different playheads on top of each other. And then when I came to Thonk, they were like, well, that's very nice, but we need CV. So this unit now has 4 CV inputs and a trigger input. The trigger input can be used to start and stop recording, so you can get your loops kind of bang on in terms of timing, and the CV inputs are totally configurable. So I'll just take you through the menus. We've got some simple effects, we have delay, we have reverb, we've got some tape effects, got bit crushing, we can route the inputs in different ways, and every playhead can come out of 2 different channels. So we can have a playhead out of 1 channel, or we might, out of both channels, or we might want it out of just 1 channel. So we can split the playheads and process them differently depending on what we're going to do.
Excellent. Can you slightly offset all the playheads to get like weird phasing things happening?
You can move the offset around. So I'll just show you, this is how we control the CV. So there's 4 CV inputs, and with each CV input, we can assign it to something completely configurable. So it can be assigned to the volume of the playheads, can be assigned to the speed of the playheads, the position of the playhead, the size of the playhead. We can do we can start the loops off so that you can do one-shot looping. So if you do one-shot looping combined with pitch CV, you can kind of treat it as a primitive sampler. But yeah, you can also jump about in a loop, which I think is what you're asking. So you can give it a CV, and that will immediately jump the playhead to a certain position, or you can jump the actual loop position around. So I don't know if I have that set up there. So you can see here that we've got CV that's just gently moving that loop around, controlled by just by a sine wave.
Excellent, excellent. And how long has the development process been? Like when did this initial idea start its development?
I don't know. I would say 2 years, maybe more. It's like, because these things start of a kind of like a little German idea that you work on, and then, as I say, I was using it without any CV to begin with, just purely manual in my performances, and that was I had that probably a couple of years ago. So I've probably been working it for more than 2 years, and then in the last year, that's when I kind of put all the CV control in, and actually it's been really useful because it's kind of made me understand why CV is so useful and why people love Eurorack, because I'm kind of modulating it in ways that I can't do with my hands and fingers. So that was kind of an eye-opener for me as well.
Excellent. Could you demo some of the features while playing back the sound so we can hear what it's doing?
Yeah, of course. So can you hear it in there? So you can. So if I just. So here, if I just play in this one. Sure. So I can show you that this is the playhead that's controlled by CV, and as you can see, we can change the speed of that. We can go really, really slow. So it's so rumbly you can barely hear it. Or we can go really, really stupidly fast. So it's comically fast. But also, as I say, you can do that in semitones. so you can get things nicely in pitch. And then if I go to a playhead that's not being controlled by CV, this is how we move the the tape section around, the little section of the loop that we're playing. So if I turn that down, turn this one on, sorry, this one on. So this is playing at 4 times speed. So we can move that loop around, we can play a really tiny section of the loop, or we can add a bit of jitter so that every time the loop restarts, it will move around a little bit. So you can, if you're doing ambient stuff, which is sort of how I used it, you can do that. But also one of the features, if you want to do more rhythmic stuff, you can. There is a grid, so we can turn on the grid, and now everything is locked onto the grid. So all of my movements are snapped to the grid. So if you've got a piece that is in time, then everything will be in time.
Excellent, and that I suppose could be useful for drum loops.
Exactly. So I can show this in a second. Actually, I had it a second ago. I'm actually CV controlling the volume, which is why it goes up. Let me turn that off. Yeah, if you, I can set up a little drum break, and we can show it jumping around.
Sure.
Shall I patch that in?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What kind of like sample memory has it got, and how do you load sounds onto it?
So it's based on the Daisy Seed. So which has 64 megabyte of RAM. So it's got room for about 10 minutes of audio, yeah. So these loops can be really long if you want them to be. I've never needed a loop to be 10 minutes before, but that facility is there. Yeah.
Excellent.
If I take the output of music of the Turing machine, put it into here, and then I can set the CV to be the jump position. So it's kind of the music thing now is live remixing the amen break. This is showing you what section it's jumping to, and that's just based from this. So but everything is dead in time because it's being clocked.
Brilliant. Yeah, I can see so many uses for it, like rhythmically and also sort of off-grid in an ambient sense. Great. So yeah, when's it available? And
so hopefully shipping next month, November.
And yeah, where do people find it? Where can they get it?
So it will be available as kits on the Thonk site, and you can also go to cutlasses.co.uk, which is my website, and be able to buy it direct if you want to buy a built module.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for showing us, Scott. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of the exhibition.